My greatest regrets from the time I was single. As some of you know, or maybe painfully relate to, I've found myself single more than a few times in my life, and every time, without fail, I would fall into the exact same trap. The moment I became single, my brain went into full panic mode. Like, code red, must find a man immediately. Within hours, sometimes minutes, I'd be back on a dating app. Or worse, texting an ex I had no business texting. Before I knew it, I was out kissing a new guy, high on hormones, convinced I was in love again. Spoiler alert, I wasn't. That's not love, that's cortisol, dopamine, and delusion teaming up for one last joyride. And yes, this exact behavior is how I ended up entangled with Mr. Fatty and that entire ghosting disaster. If you're new here, please go watch my 3-part video titled My Insane Ghost Story and the Rabbit Hole I Went Down Searching for a Man. It's equal parts comedy, tragedy, and cautionary tale. Being single can be one of the most liberating, self-defining chapters in a person's life, but you often don't realize that until it's over. Whether it's a few months or several years, many of us look back on our single years with a weird mix of nostalgia, cringe, and regret. Only in hindsight do we see just how much freedom, time, and potential we wasted. So here are some of my personal regrets and what I wish I'd done differently. Chasing relationships instead of building a life. I always approached singlehood with a heavy emotional burden, shame, insecurity, and panic. Especially as I got older and more of my friends got married, got engaged, or were in long-term relationships. Meanwhile, I was soft launching another mental breakdown. I kept asking myself, why am I still single? What's wrong with me? Instead of answering that question with introspection or self-growth, I panicked and dove headfirst into dating. I threw myself into the apps, played texting games, studied emojis like ancient runes, and convinced myself I had a spark with guys who didn't even know how to spell my name right. I was trying to fast-track my way into coupledom so I wouldn't feel like a loser. But I wasn't even asking the basic questions. Do I like him? Is he kind? Do I see a future here? Nope, didn't matter. I just wanted the title, the photos, the reassurance. Looking back, it's painfully obvious. I should have only started dating again once I felt peaceful and grounded in my own life, not when I was spiraling. Confusing chemistry with compatibility. Oh boy, this one deserves its own TED Talk. There were so many times I got sucked into emotionally intense situationships that felt deep, but were really just emotionally volatile messes. I mistook fireworks for a foundation. I equated butterflies with bonding. I thought drama meant passion. It didn't. It meant trauma. Please, for the love of your future peace, go watch my video, The Truth About Chemistry No One Told Me. Because here's the truth. Real compatibility often feels calm, safe, and easy, not like your nervous system is going through a car wash on fire. Letting loneliness dictate my decisions. Loneliness is sneaky. It dresses up like intuition. It whispers things like text him or give him another chance or you can fix him. It promises comfort but delivers chaos. And for way too long, I let it lead me. There were relationships I stayed in way too long just because I couldn't stand the silence of being alone. There were nights I swiped on people I had zero interest in just to feel like someone wanted me. And there were times I put up with truly subpar behavior because the alternative of being alone felt too unbearable. But the truth is, loneliness is a teacher. And I never gave it the time to teach me anything. If I had just sat with it, even if it was uncomfortable, I might have found a much deeper understanding of who I was and what I really needed. Wasting my freedom on nonsense. Being single offers a unique kind of freedom, one that I completely squandered. Last time I was single, I went out almost every night. I wish I was exaggerating. I was chasing adventure with random people, many of whom were just passing through town and definitely weren't sticking around for a second drink, let alone a second date. What even was the point? I drank way too much. I'd show up to work late, looking half alive, with a pounding headache and the smell of regret still clinging to my hair. My sleep was trash, my health was deteriorating, and my poor liver, honestly, I owe it a handwritten apology and a fruit basket. Instead of using that freedom to build myself up, I was busy burning myself out. Looking back, I could have done so many better things with my time. I could have gone to the gym, taken a dance class, joined a book club, learned a language, or, wild idea, just stayed home and hydrated. Literally anything that would have fed my soul and rebuilt my self esteem. But nope, I was out there in the streets, night after night, mistaking overstimulation for confidence and chaos for fun. I thought I was being spontaneous and bold, but really, I was completely lost. Traveling alone and catching feelings abroad. Okay, this one might be controversial, but hear me out. I didn't do a ton of solo travel while I was single, but when I did, yeah, it always ended the same way. Me in a beautiful country, feeling a little sad that I had no one to share it with. And eventually, I'd always find myself gravitating towards some local guy or a fellow backpacker or someone with a poetic accent who probably played guitar and didn't believe in monogamy. And suddenly, I'd find myself in a full-blown 3-day romance, complete with kisses under foreign skies and vague promises to keep in touch. Did it feel magical at the time? Absolutely. Did it end in heartbreak and a minor identity crisis? Also, yes. These short-lived travel flings were just my way of running from the hard stuff. I wasn't really there to explore the culture or discover myself. I was escaping the reality I didn't want to deal with, distracting myself with temporary thrills and cheap romance, hoping anything would make me feel better. Let me say this loud for the people in the back. No vacation has ever fixed my life. Now that I travel with my husband, it's a completely different experience. There's no aching void I'm trying to fill, no drama waiting for me when I land. And coming home doesn't sting anymore because I'm coming back to a life I love and a version of myself I'm proud of. Comparing myself to others. It was almost impossible not to compare myself to others, to not feel like I was falling behind, or worse, like a full-blown loser. And the worst part? That pressure to catch up would push me straight back into the dating pool before I was even remotely ready. Thanks to the wonderful cocktail of social media and societal expectations, being single started to feel like failure. I'd scroll through my feed, seeing engagement rings, baby bumps, and girls' trips that slowly turned into mommy and me brunches. And there I was, in bed with a half-eaten pizza and a situationship that hadn't texted back in 48 hours. But here's the thing. A lot of people regret spending their 20s and 30s obsessed with hitting milestones like marriage and kids. So many of us were just trying to run someone else's race. If I could go back, I'd scream at myself, "You're not behind. You're just on a different damn road." I wish I had embraced my own timeline. I wish I had been kinder to myself. I wish I had looked at my single years as a season, not a sentence. Over-investing emotionally in the wrong people. You know what's worse than being single? Being in a relationship with the wrong person. I used to think that any relationship, no matter how dysfunctional, was better than being alone. Obviously, it's not. Yes, I learned a lot from those bad relationships. I grew, I evolved. But I also walked away with a truckload of trauma. And honestly, I think I would have been better off staying single until I felt whole again, until I was actually healed and ready. Instead, I kept emotionally investing in men who were never really available. Men who breadcrumbed me, who never committed, who treated me like a placeholder, not a priority, and I gave them everything. My time, my energy, my peace. I'd obsess over texts, replay conversations, Google signs he's into you like a psycho. For what? These men didn't even deserve a second thought, let alone sleepless nights. And yes, I'll admit it, after being burned so many times, I developed a pretty toxic attitude toward men. Early in our relationship, my now husband even called me out for being a bit of a man-hater. And he wasn't entirely wrong. I was jaded, suspicious, expecting betrayal before it even happened. But that wasn't who I truly was. That was just trauma talking, a defense mechanism built from years of getting hurt, abandoned, or made to feel not enough. I had learned to expect the worst even from someone who genuinely cared about me. Not learning emotional independence. Here's something I didn't realize until way later in life. Being single is a chance to build emotional strength. It's your training ground, the place where you learn how to comfort yourself, how to regulate your emotions, how to be your own damn anchor. And I skipped that class entirely. I kept entering relationships from a place of need instead of abundance. I needed them to validate me, soothe me, complete me. I didn't know how to sit with discomfort. I didn't know how to self-soothe. I never learned how to actually enjoy my own company. So I kept clinging to people hoping they'd fix something inside me that honestly wasn't theirs to fix. If I had focused on building emotional independence, I wouldn't have been so easily swayed by crumbs of affection or bare minimum effort. I would have had standards, boundaries, self-respect. Not going to therapy. This one hurts because on paper, I had it all together. I was young, good-looking, fit, highly educated, financially independent, and came from a loving family. And yet, my relationships were a hot mess. I kept choosing men who were emotionally unavailable, non-committal, or just flat out not interested in a real future with me. Every time a relationship ended, I'd say the same thing. I just haven't met the right guy yet. But with some distance and clarity, I can now see that I did meet a few genuinely good men along the way. Kind, emotionally available, respectful guys who actually wanted to be with me. And guess what? I wasn't into them. Why? Because somewhere deep down, I didn't believe I deserved kindness. I didn't believe a good man would want me. So I kept gravitating toward the toxic ones, the ones who called me names, who cheated, who made me question my worth. That felt familiar. That felt normal. And that is exactly why I should have gone to therapy years earlier. I truly believe if I had started unpacking those wounds sooner, I would have saved myself so much pain. I wouldn't have sabotaged healthy relationships. I wouldn't have mistaken chaos for chemistry. And I definitely wouldn't have spent a decade rewriting the same heartbreak story with different characters. Not enjoying the moment. And finally, the biggest, simplest, most underrated regret of all. I didn't enjoy being single. I treated it like a waiting room, like some awful in-between state I had to fix or escape. I spent years trying to get out of it instead of being in it. But singlehood can be so beautiful if you let it. It's freedom, autonomy, Sunday mornings with coffee and no agenda. Solo grocery trips where everything in the cart is just for you. Quiet apartments, empty closets. The power to build a life that's entirely yours. I wish I had embraced that. I wish I had treated myself the way I hoped a partner would one day treat me. I wish I had dated myself, taken myself to dinner, to the movies, to therapy, to dance classes, instead of waiting for someone else to show up and make life feel magical. Looking back on all these regrets, I realize they all stem from one thing. I didn't treat my single years like my life. I treated them like a placeholder, like the before part of a love story I hadn't written yet. But the truth is, singlehood is an important part of your story, and what you do with it matters just as much as what comes after. I wish I had slowed down. I wish I had healed instead of hurried. I wish I had focused more on becoming someone I loved being with, instead of desperately searching for someone else to fill the silence. And if you're watching this right now and you're in that season of life, please, I beg you, don't waste it chasing validation, revenge bodies, or emotionally unavailable men. Go to therapy. Pick up a hobby. Travel. Just don't fall in love with the first hot guy with an accent. Build a life that's rich, full, and yours. Not one that's waiting for someone to show up and finally make it worth living. I used to think being single was a curse. Now I see it was an opportunity, one I didn't fully take, but you still can. So take it. Don't just look for the one, be the one. Because the most important relationship you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. I hope you found this video helpful. Please like and subscribe to support the channel.